Fourth graders, today we are doing Eureka Math Module 3, Lesson 14. This is this first lesson in the second half of Module 3, okay? So in the first half, we really focused on multiplying numbers. We talked about using place value discs to multiply, area models, the partial products way, and the standard algorithm. Yes? And now, to begin the second half of Module 3, we're going to start focusing on the inverse operation, which is division. And it might seem kind of interesting because normally we do word problems at the end, but we're actually starting this division portion with word problems. So today we're going to be able to read word problems, understand what they mean, and then solve them using division. And the reason for that is because word problems help us understand how math is used in real life, right? A word problem is just a math equation in a real life scenario. Do you guys agree? Right? So if we start by looking at that, it'll help us understand why we even have division in the world and why we need to learn division in math class. Let me just read you a scenario. You don't need to write this down. It says there are 12 students in a PE class, okay, and they're separated into 4 teams. How many students are on each team? So how many kids are there altogether? 12. And I need to separate them or divide them into how many teams? 4. So it's like I have 12 kids over here. I'm going to draw 12 kids. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah? Okay. If I put one kid into this first team, I can cross him out. He's no longer in line and he's in the first team. Yeah? Where should the second kid go? Team number 2. The third kid should go into 3. And the fourth kid should go into team number 4. Do we have more kids who need to be separated onto teams? Okay, so we should go back to team number 1. Okay, so I'm going to take this kid and put it in team 1. I'm going to take this kid and put it in team 2. Take this kid and put it in team 3. Take this kid and put it in team 4. How many kids are in each team so far? 2 kids. Is there the same number in each group? Yes. Okay. Are there still more kids that we need to separate? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to take this kid and put him into team 1. This kid will go into team 2. This kid will go into team 3. And this kid will go into team 4. Why did I cross off one kid each time I put one into a team? Varshini?
So then once you're done with one, you want to go back to that. And
right. If I put Garrett in a team, can Garrett go into another team again? No, he's already on a team. So I crossed him off to show that he was already in one team. So how many students are on each team? 3 students. How can did we just do some division? We did. How could we write this as a division equation? How many kids do we have altogether?
12.
We're dividing or separating them equally into how many teams? 4. And how many kids are on each team?
3.
Okay. So this, what we just modeled, is the division equation. 12 divided by 4 equals 3. Go ahead and write that in your notebook, the division equation. 12 divided by 4 equals 3. We're going to label the different parts of a division equation, okay? The number that you start out with is called the whole. Everyone say whole.
Whole.
Because the whole piece is what you have before you start dividing. So what was our whole? We had 12 students, right, to begin with. So our whole was 12. The number that we're trying to divide it into, the number of teams there were, or the number of groups there were, is called the divisor. Everyone say divisor. What was our divisor in this equation? 4. Because it told us that we were trying to separate them into 4 teams. We know that 12 was our whole because before we started separating them, we had 12 students, and we had to separate them into 4 teams. We're dividing them into 4 groups. So 4 is our divisor. Okay. The last number, 3, tells us how many kids were in each team. That's what we're trying to figure out, how many students are in one of the groups. And that number, the answer, is called the quotient. Everyone say quotient.
Quotient.
Okay, so it's important for you to know the different names of the different parts of the division equation. Could I switch the divisor and the whole and get the same quotient? What I'm trying to say is 12 divided by 4 equals 3. Do you guys agree? Mm-hmm. What if I switched the divisor and the whole and I put 4 divided by 12? Does that still equal 3?
Yes. No.
If I have 4 kids and I want to divide them into 12 groups, would I have 3 kids in each group? No. So can we switch the whole and the divisor? No. In division, each role, each spot, each job is unique, and we cannot switch them around. Does that make sense? Good. Now, Now it says one more student joined the class. So if there were 12 students before and one more joined the class, how many kids are there in the class now? 13. Okay, so it says now there are 13 students that need to be divided into 4 teams. So let's think to ourselves. Let's write a division equation. What number is our whole? 13. We're trying to divide them into how many groups? What number is our divisor? 4. Is our quotient still 3? Let's find out. This particular question says draw an array. Now an array is a word that you have encountered before in 3rd grade. Array means objects arranged into rows and columns. Yes? Let's look for an array in this classroom. Look around. And where do you see arrays in this classroom? Where do you see an array? Do you guys see the calendar? Are the numbers in the calendar arranged into rows and columns? That's an array. This board over here with your writing, if I lined them all up, would that be an array? They're kind of offset to be artistic, but you know. What about the student jobs? Array? Yeah. Right? Yes, Avani.
The birthday one.
The birthday ice creams, is that an array? The birthday scoops? It's how many columns are there? Look at the birthday scoops. How many columns are there? 3. And how many rows are there? 4. Okay, so that's an array. Good. So we're going to draw an array to find out how many students are in each team. When we do that, we can think of each column as being one of the teams. Okay, so we can think of this being team 1, team 2, team 3, and team 4. Let's start assigning the students. We know that our whole is 13, right? And we want to put them into 4 groups. So here's student 1, 2, 3, 4. Did we use up all our students yet? No. Should we put more students in?
Yeah.
Okay, here's student number 5, 6, 7, and 8. Did we use up all our students yet? How many students did we use up? 8. How many students do we have all together in our whole? 13. Okay, let's put more in. 9, 10, 11, 12. Did we put all the students into a group already? No. How many students have we assigned into a group? 12. How many more are there? 1. Wait, if I only have 1 student, this is really gross, can I cut him or her up into 4 pieces and put 1/4 of each student into a group? No. So we have an extra student, don't we? That's called a remainder, yeah. When we have something left over, that's called a remainder, okay? So we know that our whole was 13. We started with 13 students, and we want to divide them into 4 groups, right? We had team 1, team 2, team 3, and team 4. Our quotient is how many kids are in one group. How many kids are in one group? How many? 3. Good. But can we forget this poor student who has no group? No. So we write remainder 1. So our whole answer has the quotient and the remainder. We write a capital R right next to the quotient to show that that's the remainder. Now, how can we check our work when we're doing division? In our previous problem, we had 12 divided by 4 equals 3. We started this lesson by talking about how division and multiplication are inverse. If I zip one up using division, I can unzip it using multiplication. When we look at this math sentence, 12 divided by 4 equals 3, do we see any math facts that we know? Everyone, 3 times 4 equals. So you'll notice when I do division going this way, 12 divided by 4 equals 3, I can check my work by doing multiplication going this way. 3 times 4 should equal my whole. Yes? Okay. But let's take a look at our new example. 13 divided by 4 equals 3 remainder 1. If I go backwards, I have remainder 1. I don't know what to do with that. If I have 3 times 4, does that equal 13? No. Huh. So how can I check my work? When we have a remainder, basically what's happening is we're taking our whole and we're splitting it into 2 different parts. We're splitting it into the part that is divisible by the divisor, 12, and we have to add the remainder. So we show that we can check our work by doing 3 times 4 equals 12. That's the unzipping part, yeah? And then we have to take that 12 and we have to add the remainder. 12 plus 1 equals 13, which is the whole. So we could check our work and say that that's done. Make sense? In your math notebook right now, write down how you could check to show that this answer is correct. I love this division problem because it reminds us that division has 2 meanings. It can be used to share. I can say, I have 13 students, and I want to share them equally into 2 groups. How many students could be in each group? What would the answer be? 6 students. But that's not what this question is asking. It's reminding us that division can also be used to find out how many groups of something there are if I already know how many things I want in that group. In this case, do I know how many roses I want in one vase? How many? It tells me 6 in the problem. And so it's asking me how many groups, or how many vases, how many groups of 6 roses can I have? So to find the quotient, I'm not counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because I already know that. What I'm counting is 1 group and 2 groups. So my quotient is 2. How many vases will there be? 2. Will there be any roses left over?
Yes.
Yeah, because my remainder is right here. How many roses will be left over? So my full answer to the division equation is 2 remainder 1, but that's not what if I said 2 remainder 1, would that answer the question?
No.
The question is asking how many vases will she use. So the answer is 2 vases. And then the second question says, will there be any roses left over? The answer is yes. Not 1. If I said, hey Evan, will there be any roses left over? And you said 1. I guess it would kind of make sense, but the answer is yes. 1. Yes, comma 1. Yes? Okay. Now, how can we use a tape diagram to show the problem? I could show that in one vase, there are 6 roses. And then in the second vase, there are 6 roses. And then, left over, there is 1 rose. And all together, this adds up to 13 roses. How might we use math to check our answer? What could we do? Anushka?
We could do 6 times 2.
Let's go in reverse order because we're doing inverse operations, right? So it'd be 2 times 6 equals 12. But hold on, I need it to be 13. What do I need to do? How come it's not 13? Did we do it wrong? Anushka, go ahead and finish your thought.
We need to add the remainder, which
So we take our total, 12 plus 1, which is 13. And now I can see, yes, that is my whole, so check that is correct. As a reminder, we don't write it like this. 2 times 6 equals 12 plus 1 equals 13. Because that shows that these equal signs show that everything needs to be equal. Is 2 times 6 equal to 12 plus 1? No. So is that equation true? No. So we cannot write it like this. You have to write it as 2 separate equations. Be precise in the way you're recording your math thinking. Yes?